Hello. At the weekend we visited St Michael's Mount on the south coast of Cornwall. The last couple of times that I've been here it's been high tide, so we haven't been able to walk over the causeway, but this time we could. I absolutely love the stones of the causeway. It feels really special every time I walk over it. I decided today I'd like to do a mixed media picture of St Michael's Mount with the causeway prominent. I'm using the Pith Oro Blanco sketchbook, which I showed in my recent art haul video. Firstly though, I swatch out my new Faber-Castell Gelato pastel set. This comes with two wedge sponges. The first one is too soft for me to use really, I don't like it very much, but the second one is fantastic and I used it for all of my oil pastel pictures. It's much firmer. The various sets of 12 gelatos also come with a little angled paintbrush, which isn't too bad. Unfortunately, I don't think these sets are widely available now. I had to buy this one on eBay. The gelatos are a little bit like lipstick consistency. They're quite soft and smooth and not as sticky as oil pastels. I've already got the translucent set, which I've enjoyed using, but it's nice to get my hands on these more opaque pastel colours. I use some of these later on for my St Michael's Mount picture. I blend out the top half of the colours with the firmer of the two sponges. To clean off the sponge in between colours, I just wipe it on some kitchen towel. The gelatos blend out quite nicely and smoothly. Then for the bottom half of the swatches, I wash them out with water and the paintbrush from the set. This has a slightly more streaky result than when the blending sponge is used. I noticed that after a moment or two, the paper of the Oro Blanco sketchbook starts to buckle up a little bit. It's not particularly suitable for very wet mediums, but I think it'll be fine for small amounts. The surface didn't pill at all while I was doing this. I got this lovely butterfly tin with some toiletries at Christmas, and this is my translucent gelato set in it. So I'm going to keep all of my gelatos in there together. Oh, I think they look so nice all together. You can see the effect of the water on the other side of the page when I turn it over. I get out my new A4 gel printing plate to do a background for my St Michael's Mount picture, and I'm using some Amsterdam and Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic paints. So first off, I cut a rough outline of St Michael's Mount from copier paper, and I'm going to use this to mask off some of the gel plate. So this is me sticking it to the gel plate now. As usual, I'm afraid I haven't got much of a plan for this picture. I'm just playing around and doing whatever occurs to me at the time. So I'm just putting some paint on now for the sky. There are loads of different ways you can use a gel plate. You can cover the whole thing in acrylic paint and then mask off different areas and cover it all again. I'm just experimenting with using a part of it at a time. I think the thing I like about it is that you can't really predict exactly the effect you're going to get. It gives you an element of randomness to the textures and colour mixtures. I feel like this is beneficial to me to help me loosen up a bit. I've kept a layer of the plastic packaging that the gel plate came on attached to the back of it so that I can kind of use the gel plate like a massive stamp. Often though, people keep the gel plate in place and it's the paper that they add and remove from it. I just thought it'd be fun to experiment with it like this. If you wait longer and allow the paint to dry, then all of the paint will peel off onto the paper. I wasn't bothered about that though, so peeled it off quite soon, and you can see that a lot's come off on the paper, but there's still some left on the gel plate. Next, I mask off the St Michael's Mount silhouette again, and this time I add some kind of scalloped cloudy shape to the sky and add that as well. I really am just mucking around with whatever occurs to me. I have one brayer which I just keep for acrylic paint. I've skipped out a segment here, but now I'm putting on a second white layer of cloud. Next I cut out the shape of the causeway. I put it in place and then stick it to the gel plate. I'm using this as a mask again, and I'm adding sea colours around it. I love the randomness of this process. I've no idea what it's going to look like when it's finally printed. Then I remove the mask and stamp with the gel plate again. It's just so satisfying lifting up the gel plate. Because I didn't fully allow the paint to dry, I can do a second impression from the gel plate, which can be used for collage or other things later on. I then use the negative of the causeway cutout to mask off the sea area. So these are my causeway colours, and I then use some bubble wrap to add some texture to the paint. It lifts up some of the paint, and I just keep going until I'm happy with the texture. For St Michael's Mount itself, I decide that I want to do some collage for it, and so I make some collage papers, just playing around with different foliage patterns and layers. I'm just using cheap copier paper for this, and so it does wrinkle up and everything, but I'm not worried about that for the collage papers. I then just cut out various shapes and make up the St Michael's Mount silhouette. I use some PBO Studio Gel Matte Medium as glue for the collage parts, and the silicone brush from yesterday's art haul to apply it. As usual in these middle stages, I'm having a great time, but I'm also thinking it's looking pretty uncohesive and messy, and am I going to be able to turn it into something okay? I've learnt to just keep going. This is the photo I took at the weekend, which I'm using as reference. I made some more collage paper to represent the buildings on the island, and for the black I used some Posca marker, which also works well on gel plates. Once I've blocked out all of the main areas of the picture with either gel printing or collage, I go in with my gelatos. So here's my finished version of the causeway leading to St Michael's Mount. It was a huge amount of fun to do, and I actually quite enjoy how it turned out. The gelatos went down really well over the matte medium and the acrylic paint, and the Pith sketchbook held up to the acrylic paint absolutely fine. I love my new A4 size gel plate and will definitely be playing with that again soon. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!